You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Stugotz here. Playoff season is here, and the only thing better than game day predictions are the foods that come with them. Introducing Tums Fantasy Foodball Pool, brought to you by Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, and DraftKings. Each week leading up to the big game, turn football into foodball by building your best game day play for a shot at winning a share of $40,000 in cash prizes. Inspired by game day bites and tailgate treats, join the Tums foodball action during this playoff season's most heartburn-inducing time. Visit DraftKings.com/Tums foodball between January 6th and February 9th to enter for free and select your game day plate before the start of each playoff round. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at DraftKings.com/Tums foodball. When you feel the heat of the game, don't let heartburn keep you on the sidelines. Try Tums Chewy Bites with a tasty outer shell and soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid indigestion, and upset stomach. Check out Tums Gummy Bites featuring a soft and easy-to-chew format for fast relief of occasional heartburn, acid indigestion, sour stomach, and upset stomach. Both available at Amazon, Target, and other major retailers nationwide. And for more heartburn relief fun, be sure to follow Tums at Tums Official on Instagram and TikTok.
This episode is brought to you by Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World, starring Anthony Mackie as Captain America and Harrison Ford as President Ross. Don't miss the explosive return of Captain America as Sam Wilson uncovers a mysterious plot that threatens to destabilize the globe and confront an enemy that has the entire world seeing red. Enter A Brave New World in IMAX and 3D on February 14th.
This episode is brought to you by Unstoppable. Discover the inspiring true story about Anthony Robles, who defied every expectation to become a national wrestling champion in Unstoppable, a new original movie from Amazon MGM Studios and director William Goldenberg, evoking the excitement and camaraderie of classic sports dramas and thrilling wrestling matches. Unstoppable features an all-star ensemble cast, including Jarrell Jerome, Jennifer Lopez, Don Cheadle, Michael Pena, and Bobby Cannavale. Watch Unstoppable now, exclusively on Amazon Prime Video.
Be honest. When's the last time you had a homemade meal? We get it. Between meetings, workout classes, and the kids' after-school sports, who's got time to cook? That's where HelloFresh comes in. No matter how busy you get, HelloFresh has everything you need to get an easy, home-cooked meal on the table. With flavor-packed recipes like Parmesan herb-crusted salmon, you'll be filling your kitchen with the cozy aromas of a homemade meal in no time. So go ahead, try HelloFresh. It's homemade, made easy. Learn more at HelloFresh.com.
God bless football, Mikey A.
God bless football, Billy Gill.
Hello, everyone. Hello, world. It's Monday, January 20th. 2025. Here we are. We made it. Look at us. We made it through another round of the NFL playoffs. It is National Championship Day. Martin Luther King Day, too, by the way. Happy Martin Luther King Day. We had a big weekend of sports. We're going to try this morning to do what we normally do. Also coming up, we have what is not necessarily the nicest thing that we've done to someone in the past. We have an exclusive interview. Golic will be joining us to preview tonight's National Championship game. Stugotz will be with us for that interview as well. And Stugotz did his thing where we had a surprise guest for Golic. And if you listen to it, you should know that at the time, if you're listening to the audio, Mike Golic was wearing an Under Armour shirt with The Rock's logo on it. And then maybe I led him to believe that it could be The Rock. And then, spoiler alert, and I'm going to tell you because when he comes on and we just say his name, you may not.
You're not going to know who it is. Yeah,
you may not know based on name alone, but it's the coach of Northern Illinois' football team, the only team to beat Notre Dame this year. And we kind of wanted to get the X's and O's, the how Ohio State can beat Notre Dame tonight. And we were really just trying to agitate Golic, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. And he was a lovely man. And I think we fell in love with him, and he's probably rooting for Notre Dame today. Oh, and we get to the bottom of one of life's most pressing questions. And I don't know why I'm giving away all of the goods now, but we find out what Marcus Freeman smells like. So if you ever wondered to
Yeah.
yourself, what does Marcus Freeman smell like? Stick around. You're going to hear that a little later today. Also, I just want to say, God Bless Football is presented by Spearnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. So we have winners and losers coming up. I have big board bets in a somewhat abridged version of God Bless Football because we're down a couple people.
We're
The
down.
holidays, people were traveling. Some people have said, you know what, I'm gonna sit by my TV. Yeah, it's one of the biggest football weekends of the year, National Championship,
Yeah.
4 big playoff games. We'll take this one off. Maybe sitting around watching the
Yeah.
inauguration today. I don't know what people are doing. It's snowing everywhere. People probably snowed in as well. I mean, probably not as many people from our office are snowed in since we live in Miami and it doesn't really snow here. But snowed in right after this. Mikey A has to go out. He has to plow some snow so he can save
Yeah.
his family from being trapped in.
You know what? It's more of there are things that we plan to get done today, and nobody can get out of the garage until I clear a path. And some of us said they were going to be here and then
Hmm.
decided not to, not naming any names or anything like that. But me and Billy are here. And Billy, I'm watching these snow games because
Hmm.
it feels like all the games were in either bitter cold or snow or indoors
Yeah.
the last 2 days. And I'm wondering, like, is that something you would want to do? Like if we could go to the Bills game or the Chiefs game or even the Eagles game where it looked, for those of us that live in snow,
Hmm.
there's snow and there's that wet rain snow, and
Yeah.
it's very different than actual big flakes of snow. Is that something you'd want to do? Like, would you be okay if I was like, hey Billy, I got 2 tickets to the Bills game. You want to go?
Well, so amongst just us friends here,
Just me and you. Safe
now that
space.
it's already happened, I'll confess to you that I was working on something the last 2 weeks and really last
Ooh.
week like came up with like a good plan and I had plans to go to Buffalo uh for the game and we have someone that we work with, Taylor, who went to college with Mac Hollins. So he had assured me that if we were to go, we were going to on Saturday, and I'm sure he didn't run this by Mac, but the plan was on Saturday to interview Mac, and we would just be walking through the snow barefoot as we were doing the interview. So like we'd be hanging out with Mac, just walking around in the snow barefoot, which would have led to me being very sick, but probably worth it. And then we probably would have done like the idea was like have a quote unquote content house, and it was really just because this was like our cost efficient pitch was like, well, if we get like an Airbnb and there's like 3 or 4 of us going, we just put everyone in the same thing. We save hundreds of dollars on hotels that way. So it's like, okay, well, we'll just like we'll say we'll do this interview with Mac, which he claims he was going to get done, and then we'll like I don't know live watch along, the Saturday night game or something. I think Texans Chiefs, right? And there was it no Commanders Lions. Wow, what a game that was. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, we gotta
And then
get
on
that.
on Sunday, because we didn't get approved for credentials, it was almost a benefit because it was like okay, cool, like full party mode in the snow in the Bills parking lot. And then maybe I pay some penances for my sins against Josh Allen. Maybe I go through a table. Maybe it's on fire. Who knows? Just try some.
Ketchup and mustard.
That was probably going to be my
See, I draw the
line.
line there. I draw the line there too. Like I
That was
would
going to be
jump.
my line, just because I
Yeah,
then have to like because then it becomes like ketchup and mustard icicles on me all day long, and like going through a table, okay, catching on fire, but my wife's not listening. Okay, like I'm fine with these things, you know. Uh,
but
eat
French
a
is
dis
yellow. No.
yeah, eat a disgusting amount of like food, and like since I'm not credentialed, maybe consume any drink that I'm handed, like
Sure.
fine, that's part of the job that day. But the ketchup and mustard was going to be my line, so it didn't end. Spoiler alert: I'm here in my house. That trip didn't get approved, so it never happened.
Yes.
But to answer your question, yeah, the idea of it for a day seems like fun. Like so, as someone who's not like a snow person, obviously because of where I live, my wife a couple years ago was like, I want to see snow. She had never seen snow. So she wanted to see snow. So I told her, like, pick a place. And this was for like a birthday present. Her birthday's in December. So I said, for your birthday, pick a place and we'll go to, hopefully see snow, like, after Christmas this year. So she ended up picking Chicago, and we had no idea how terrible Chicago is at that time of year.
I already see where this.
The wind chill
I
was
already
like
know where you went wrong.
wind chill was like -15. It's on a lake, if you know this, and the windy city really picks up there. It's horribly cold. So my thing on snow is it's fun for like the first hour and a half, and then it's like, okay, this is terrible. Why did we do this? And I don't know if you're the same way. I mean, you need to save your family. You're trapped in the house. Are there any errands? Let me ask you. And we're guys, I promise we're going to get to football, but
Sure.
this is the important stuff. The errands that are not being done today because you're snowed in until you go out and clear the path. Are any of them your errands?
Of course not.
Okay.
Of course not.
So it benefits you to go out and do that, and then you theoretically will have the house somewhat to yourself, or you will, like, the busybodies will be gone, maybe.
Kids are off today, so
same.
errands are going to get run by
And
my
the kids
wife solo, and the kids are going to stay home with me. And honestly, that's kind of what I'm putting off, because while they're ready to go run and frolic and play in the snow for hours, I am with you where it's like, okay, this was fun for a half an hour. Up, you hit daddy with a snowball, I hit you with a snowball, let's go in. They're like, no, let's now build a snow fort and a snowman and go
Ooh.
sledding down this minor hill, and then let's drive to the big hill where we can go sledding 1,000 times, and my little guy is going to go 100 miles an hour, and I'm going to have to run down the hill to make sure he's okay, and then have a heart attack trying to walk my fat ass back up the hill. So that, that's what it is. And so I would much rather run errands and shovel snow than deal with a kid's snow day for the entirety of the day.
Why don't you volunteer to do the errand? Say, hey, to your wife, like, hey, like, you could really use a break. I see, like, why don't you just
Because
stay
my wife
in?
knows. Because my wife knows. Like, it's you're not fooling her. You're not telling her I'll run the errands to give you a break. She goes, no, the errands are the break. She knows.
You know what's funny? And by the way, Texans 14, Chiefs 23. Patrick Mahomes continues to just get every call, even when he's not getting hit. It's roughing the passer on Patrick Mahomes.
You know what? Listen, I want to get back to the snow stuff, but that fake flop he did where he was trying to get the call and didn't get one, that's the kind of thing that'll make you not like him, because you get every call. You don't need to sell one. You get every call, and I get it. The refs did this, and okay, I get it. But, like, you don't need to make a bad situation worse. The perception is already you get every call. Don't flop. Please don't flop.
Well, the one where the two Texans hit themselves in the helmets and he ducked under both of them, and Troy Aikman nearly lost it. He was just kind of wandering around there in the middle of the field looking to get hit, it felt like, which is kind of, it sounds like a crazy thing to say, but, like, once you see it and you're looking for it, it's like, okay, he's trying to just get hit here, like hard, soft, but he's just looking to get hit, which, by the way, and we'll get to it in that, like, our friend Josh Allen, not immune to that criticism either. He just doesn't get the same number of calls that Patrick Mahomes gets for whatever reason. Also, big storyline of that game, huge storyline of the game that we haven't gotten to yet. Caitlin Clark was sitting next to Taylor Swift, so that has now been covered. From big time Swiftie to now, I guess, friend for a day. Caitlin Clark and Taylor Swift.
How did that happen? Like, who called who to be like, did Taylor say, hey, Caitlin, you should come to a game with me one day? It'd be awesome. And Caitlin was like, so the playoffs. And he was like, oh, I don't know that we're playoff sweet friends. I was thinking more like week 7 against the Panthers, you should come to the game.
So I'm thinking, and I don't know this, obviously, how would I know this? And we have, we'll get to winners and losers. This is going to be a winner and loser. We'll get to that in a minute. I think what happened there was, and I could be wrong, I would imagine that there was somehow a Kelsey connection there, right? Like maybe she met Jason or someone crossed paths with Travis, and then they're like, "Oh, we should get you out to this game." And I don't want to look. I think it's documented. Taylor Swift was not a huge sports fan before this, right? Like we kind of know this. So I'm gonna say that maybe they met yesterday, or they had maybe met once or twice in passing before. But I'm thinking maybe Saturday was their first like time hanging. And as you could see, like it started out like Caitlyn was in the back of the
In the
booth, and then it
back.
was like,
Yeah.
hey, right up here up front next to Taylor. Maybe they, trying to stay warm, had a couple drinks or whatever, just hanging out, just became close friends, and then they're hugging at the end of the game. And
Yeah.
really, you know, I like to say shout out to Brittany Mahomes, who just delivered a baby. They just had another child, the Mahomes family. Congratulations. What a blessing. But I was seeing and early Taylor and Brittany vibes there between
Mm.
Caitlyn and Taylor. So hopefully, Brittany doesn't get out of the picture for having a child. That would be horrible. And I hope thoughts and prayers if that's the situation.
I still want to see if Taylor will stay with Kelsey if they lose. She's
That's
only
kind
known
of
winning. She's only
that's
known winning, and it's really bothering me because I don't really want the Chiefs to lose, especially considering who they're playing now in my allegiance. But at the same time, part of me wants to know if Taylor, like if Taylor's on the cusp of breaking up with, just hypothetically,
hmm
not reporting anything, please.
mm,
If she's on the cusp of breaking up with him, like it's a bad look if she waits till after they lose because then
yeah.
it's like, well, you were just in it for the Super Bowls.
Well, she could be the villain in that story, especially if they make
Yeah.
it to the Super Bowl again and
Will
they
she
lose
make
the
an
Super Bowl.
album about it?
Well, then she's the bad guy. Wow, imagine like a Taylor Swift heel turn. Like she
I'd
becomes
listen to
like
that. Little metal.
NWO Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
Yeah, little
I don't think
metal.
that her fans would I don't think her fans would allow that to happen though. You know? Like she's gonna be the wrestler that never goes bad, which like there's not a ton of them. Hey, Joe Mixon had 88 yards and a touchdown, huh?
That was
What a
awesome.
game. Where if we were to rank the games from this weekend, Rams, Eagles, Texans, Chiefs, Commanders, Lions, Ravens, Bills, that was probably the worst of the games, right?
That was the worst of the games.
It
And
wasn't bad.
we
It just this
it's
was
no,
coming
this
off
was
of
a
a
big makeup week from last week.
yeah,
Yeah.
coming off of a couple bad playoff weekends. This was a good this was a good playoff weekend.
Four games
And
of
I'm
four
including
quarters.
the college weekends in those because
Sure.
the college football playoff weekends were dreadful.
At what point do we start sort of looking at the Texans because they make the playoffs every year and they've never seen a championship game? Like at what now, in their defense, I can't ever remember watching a Texans game where I thought they're the better team and they should win
Yeah.
and they didn't. But at the same time, like the Texans make the playoffs every year, it feels like, because
I
of
th
that terrible division, but they never win.
I think that the Texans, so like it's similar to the Steelers, right? The Steelers get there and then are out early, but the Steelers have obviously a great history and a very passionate fan base. And I am putting myself now in a bad position, and I don't want to be like enemy number one of the Texans fans. I feel like part of it is because they're the Texans. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I get
they're the
it. I
Texans, so
mean,
it's like, we're kind of just happy to be here. Like just 2 years ago, they were terrible before they had CJ Stroud. So it's like,
yeah,
okay, like we're still kind of winding up. I think next year might be the year that if CJ doesn't get a playoff win, it starts a little bit. It's like, okay, CJ, like we're making the playoffs, but now we need to win in the playoffs.
I mean, everybody knows going into like when they start releasing when the schedule of playoff games is going to be. You
hmm
get to circle that Saturday, that first Saturday, 4 o'clock game. You know that's going to be the Texans. You know they're hosting that playoff game because they're the
Yeah.
team that they just like, all right, I guess we got to put the Texans in their usual slot. And then they're done. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Well,
congratulations. You made it to the Saturday playoff game.
well, they made no this year. They won a playoff game this
I
year.
know, but I mean, they're never a threat. They're never like we're never talk about them like, oh man, who's going to beat the Texans? Like even when they're good, like they're you've never seen a championship game.
Um, coming into this season, it felt like we were going to see some of those games in the regular season, where it's like, oh, the Texans are going to be hard, and then like they had so many injuries, and CJ wasn't as good this year, seemingly as he was last year. So yeah, I mean, the thing is the AFC. Like, I just, what are the Texans going to have? This is not where I thought we would be today, but what are the
No.
Texans going to have to do in the AFC to become a team like that? Because the Chiefs, I'm not going to say are kind of, on the way down in their dynasty, but if the Chiefs lose next weekend to the Bills, spoiler alert, the Bills beat the Ravens. If you didn't watch any of football, but you're listening today, that happened. We'll get to that in a moment. But if the Chiefs lose to the Bills and don't make the playoffs, while they will fail in their quest for the first three-peat ever, I don't think it will be entirely surprising if they don't beat the Bills. And I also, and this sounds weird, don't think it's a failure of a season for them if they don't three-peat and win the Super Bowl. Because while they had the best record in the AFC, they snuck by a lot, and it felt like they were just kind of hanging around for this time. It's like I guess, like the way you think of like load management in the NBA is what the regular season felt like for the Chiefs, but somehow they still won all of those games. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it felt like
like-
we were kind of just, the Chiefs were coasting through the regular season, and then come playoff time, they're going to turn it on. And by the way, anyone who's worried about Travis Kelce, you're an idiot, because he was incredible in that game, to the point that it was almost negligence by the Texans to let him be so open so often. I couldn't believe how many times in that game Travis Kelce was just standing wide open in the middle of the field.
It almost feels like we got cheated. Like he could have been doing this all season. Like, could he have been doing this all season?
Load management.
And
I'm
he
telling
just
you.
decided. I don't think you're wrong. I think they were just like, hey, here's a really good play where Travis will be wide open, but we're going to save this for the divisional round because there's just no reason to use Travis Kelce until then.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any more thoughts on this? You want to move on to the next game? Because you were just saying about
Sure.
saving plays. Ben Johnson pulled out a play that shocked everyone, that I don't think anyone had ever seen. And he was putting on a show for any team that had interviewed Ben Johnson. The way they were doing some of these trick plays, you're like, oh, that could be mine next year. Like, oh, okay, let's do that.
It was such the story of trick plays where he ran 2 or 3 of them in the game, and the first 2 worked really well. There was that one where they pitched it to David Montgomery, or then did a shovel pass, and you're like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Ben Johnson is the most.
That was the play. I like where you're going.
And then he does the other one where Jameis Williams just throws an interception because he's Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
And throws an interception when Jameson Williams should A, not be throwing, and B, should not be throwing in that situation. And you're like, oh,
yeah,
this is a bad day for him.
Can I tell you the roller coaster of emotions I went on? So first trick play that we just talked about, I was like, oh, okay, like we're showing off. And then the second one, I seriously turned and I said to no one, because my wife was not paying attention at all. But so I guess I turned to my wife and I turned and I said, guy's going to cost himself a job on that failed trick play. I'm like, stop getting cute. You're going to cost yourself a job, buddy. Like, you're fine. You don't need, everybody wants you. Don't do this to yourself.
Yeah.
We don't need to do this. Dan Campbell crying after the loss.
Not
Commanders
surprising.
45, Lions 31. In case you didn't know the score of that game. It was unsurprising or surprising, you said?
Dan Campbell crying is not surprising.
No, he seems like a very emotional man, one
He's
way
an
or another.
emotional dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he might have cried if they won. Like he might have been like, I'm just so proud of these guys.
Yeah.
Tears of joy.
After halftime, I feel like it was Aaron Andrews, but I could be wrong. Said I spoke to Dan Campbell. He lost. He barely could talk to me. He almost lost his voice. I'm like, that's it though. Like that's the state his voice is probably always in. Like I would hate to hear Dan Campbell's May voice. You know what I mean? Like give him a couple months off, let it recover, heading into like the summer workouts, post draft. He's now had a couple months. Maybe he has some tea or whatever, and his voice is like, I don't want to hear that version of his voice. Like, I want to hear
I
his
won't
Doc Rivers
recognize it.
voice at all times. Exactly right.
I won't recognize it. Yeah,
No.
like what does he sound like when he's just ordering breakfast in June?
Yeah. Oh
Like,
man.
yeah. Like, hey, give me two eggs, two
Yeah,
egg whites.
it would be funny if he had like a really high pitched voice. We just had no idea because he's just always. The thing is like I don't,
Like mine,
I don't.
according to K Funk.
Yeah, I don't view him, and I'm sure I'm wrong about this. I don't view him as like the tyrant yelling coach like on the sideline. Like particularly like if you think of like the college coaches, like a Saban or whatever, like just like berating his players, yelling them. Like that's not how I view him losing his voice. Like I view him just like doing everything like very intensely. Like you go up to the Lions facility in the morning, he's like, "Hey, what kind of coffee you got there today?" Like just really excited about like everything's like,
Who's
"Damn,
ready to
like,
work?
calm down, Dan. Like relax." Also, for those of you who were not part of this, which is everyone in the world except me and Mikey, because we were having this conversation privately,
Mhm.
we were talking about coffee this morning.
Mm.
Mikey, and I don't want to betray him here, bit of a coffee snob.
Very much.
Then he was talking to me and realized coffee, not super huge down here in Miami. We got some Cuban coffee. In fact, I will tell you this, and this is, I don't want to do like the whole thing where it's like Miami's the only place that says this, but I don't think it's super common. I guess it is, but like we will refer to coffee as American coffee, like like everywhere. Like no, that's American coffee, just because like we have a lot of Cuban coffee down here. It's like, do you want American? Like I'm like, I want coffee, and they're like, American coffee? Like, yeah, American coffee.
So if you just plucked me down right in the middle of Miami and I said
Yeah.
to a random person, where can I get a coffee? Would
Yeah.
they send me to a place where I can get an American coffee or a Cuban coffee?
Depends where they send you. Is American coffee the way that it's described in a lot of places? It might
No,
be.
I
I'm
was,
just unfamiliar.
I would imagine a lot of the, like when I
I'm
travel
saying like
overseas, yeah.
you never say American coffee when you're getting coffee.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think, yeah. Hartford area, Connecticut. I don't think there's a ton of Cubans up there, but
No,
I could be wrong.
I'm not sure there's any.
Well, I mean, if they work for ESPN, maybe they're in the, area. Who knows? The Commanders and the Lions game, best game of the weekend. I mean, Bills. The other two were so good too. These three games that we have to talk about: so Rams, Eagles, Commanders, Lions, Ravens, Bills. They were all very good, and they were all very good, I think, for different reasons.
Yes.
I think that the Commanders Lions was like the shootout with not the best defense. Jared Goff, multiple interceptions, coming out party for Jaden Daniels. If you haven't been watching him all year long, you're like, whoa, who is this guy? Ooh, actually, I'm adding this to my list. I have a big loser for the weekend. Winners and losers, presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly. You know what? Let's just do this right now.
Just do
Winners
it.
and losers, presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly. The first winner or first loser of the weekend, Stugotz's friend Joe Shane, because for the rest of time, Joe Shane is the GM of the New York Giants. For those of you who don't know, and he knows Stugotz because they were part of the same country club. Joe Shane, for the remainder of time, every time Jaden Daniels has a big game, we will see the clip of Hard Knocks where his, I believe, teenage son was telling him, you should really trade up to get Jaden Daniels, while he's going around and asking all of his children on the weird Hard Knocks that we've never before. It was basically Hard Knocks Joe Shane. We just put a camera in Joe Shane's office and see what it is that he's up to in the offseason. Kind of like creepy, if we're going to be honest with you. So it's just kind of, we're just seeing what it is at the Giants front office, so you can get a good idea of how to run a franchise. The Giants front office is doing in the offseason. And now we have the famous clip that we've seen over and over again of Joe Shane's teenage son telling him, you know what? Trade up and get Jaden Daniels in this draft. And he literally says to him, you're only going to get this job once. You might as well try to win. And he says, you know what I'm going to do? Trade Saquon Barkley or let him go. Like, I don't
let him go.
We don't need Saquon. We don't need Jaden. We got Daniel Jones. We're perfectly fine. He's going to be here a long time.
Jets fans would trade right now for his teenage son as opposed to Woody Johnson, who gets
Wow, could
all
you
of
imagine?
his ratings from Madden.
So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mikey. I think Joe Shane's teenage son is the only person that hasn't applied and been interviewed for a job with the Jets because every single person on the face of earth has completed their interview with the Jets because we're told every single day someone else has completed it. Some of in person, some are on Zoom, but every single person is applying for every single Jets job, and they're letting us know about every single. Was Cade McCown the latest one? Did I see him?
Josh McCown. Josh McCown.
Okay.
Josh McCown. The funny thing about the really funny part about it is Woody Johnson is paying a consultant firm
Oh, that's the move.
to give him like names to interview and be part of the interview. And I'm sitting here going, what are you paying for? Because they literally gave you a list of everyone ever associated with the NFL ever.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, here's the list of people you should look at, and it's 19 pages long. And remember, we get paid by the hour.
Yeah. So there's two moves by consulting firms, I think, and I've never been part of one, but I aspire to be part of one day because it seems like quite the legal racket. So there's two moves. There's that move that they pull off where they just give you a billion options, and then at the end of the day, Mike Tannenbaum gets the job. Or, and I don't know if you've seen this yet, Mikey, but if you want, like, and if you're a listener, Google this now at home. Google the old Walmart logo and the new Walmart logo. And I'll give you a moment and I'll fill. But Google like the new 2025 Walmart logo and the old one, and you will then see the second function of consulting firms because this is quite the magical move that I'm sure they were paid hundreds, if not millions, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for this move, where they basically just highlighted the text and hit bold, and then in the little sun looking thing that they have, they just made that a little bit thicker and moved it a little bit closer together. Yeah.
You know what? This is the job I want. This is the job I want. You've changed the course of my life. I want to be a consultant to say, you know what you guys would do? You know what would drive your sales? Bold.
I think the hardest part, and it's like the Elaine Bennis of the job, where it's like, okay, now write 30 pages on why this is different and why this represents the present standing of the company. And they will just, the new bold look really envisions the direction of the future that this company wants to go in. That's what we want
to be.
It's bold. More, it's really, if notice it's slightly closer together, that represents the unity within the company and within the community and really within America moving forward, that we aspire to bring everybody together while you're shopping through our aisles. We really unifying front. That's why they seem slightly closer together. And the yellow, we didn't change that. That was fine.
No, that was like,
yeah,
no.
It doesn't say that.
Embrace our past.
That's part of our
we kept
company's rich history. We kept the exact same colors to not gear too far off of our unified vision and really honoring the legacy of Sam Walton. It's like, thanks, guys. Perfect.
With one eye on the past and one eye on the future.
Exactly right.
That's why.
Okay, so the Lions did kind of what the Lions do, and they except for last year, and they blew it. And the Commanders now, are they going to be not the favorite on the field, but the rooting favorite in the NFC
easily
up against the Eagles? Is that just like area bias for you? Do you hate the Eagles?
So, I think as someone who grew up a New York sports fan, even though I'm a Boston hating New York fan, not a Philly hating one, I can't. I'm with them in like I don't like Philly. I was wondering, like, for you, this college football national championship, which we'll get to in a few minutes with Mike Golic, you said like there's no good outcome for me. Like I'm gonna have to watch either Notre Dame or Ohio State win.
Yeah.
And for me, like it's an easy choice for me. I'm rooting for Notre Dame, even though I'm neutral about Notre Dame. It's an easy choice for me. But I'm looking at the teams left for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, like, what's best case scenario for me? And the
Uh-huh.
clear answer is Washington.
Yeah.
But like I will be upset if pretty much any other team wins.
Huh. So the Chiefs is just you're tired of the Chiefs.
It's that I'm tired of them, and it's like, I think
I'm
Patrick
look.
Mahomes is kind of becoming a little bit of a sports villain in
Oh, I
like
just
the
had a kid.
flop. The flop
Yeah.
is kind of the kind of thing where you go, all right, I'm sick of this. I'm a little over it.
Huh.
Um,
I will remind you, and I'll say tread lightly. Chiefs Kingdom embraced us earlier this season.
Listen,
So
it's not them. It's not even the team. It's fatigue, and I don't think any Chiefs fan would be like, yeah, I don't know, I don't see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs obviously are in. The Bills beat the Ravens. We haven't gotten to that yet, but we'll get to that. You don't like the
Mhm.
Bills.
You can't listen. You can't be a Jets fan and be like, yeah, you go Bills.
Yeah,
You can't do that.
that's true, I
Somebody
suppose.
asked me if I would rather the Dolphins win the Super Bowl or the Patriots, and
Oh,
I just left. I couldn't answer that. So
really?
yeah, I just left. I
You
couldn't.
don't like the Dolphins that much? I kind of thought that the Dolphins were irrelevant to everyone at this point in
The
time.
the Dolphins were the biggest rival for the longest time,
Yeah,
and
but
then
that's
the
been such a
Patriots
long
got
time.
so good. So
Yeah.
like
But
it's
those
a
Patriots don't exist anymore. Those
one
Patriots
eye to the
are
past, Billy, is what
dead
it
and gone.
is.
Yes, that's right. That's why we still use the yellow
Yes.
because of the Patriots. All right. Well, the Commanders now are everybody's darling favorite team, and they've gone from
Mhm.
a team that is playing with house money to a team that now everybody is hoping and praying beats the Eagles next round. I think. I think.
I think outside of Philadelphia, I think pretty much everybody, because like even Cowboys fans and Giants fans who are like, I can't root for my rival, are like, yeah, but if I had to root for one of my rivals, it'd be that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I made the mistake yesterday in fantasy. You can compete against us in fantasy. Go to
Mhm.
dkng.co/Smirnoff. Our fantasy contest is presented by Smirnoff, the world's number one vodka. Please drink responsibly. When we're this late in the game of fantasy and you only have 4 games, there's very little variance in who everybody is taking. A lot of people are just taking the same people, so you have to go out on a limb and really find where the hidden gems are. So I thought everyone is going to do Josh Allen this week because, it's easy money. So I went with Jaden Daniels, which ended up working out, except except he was doing this cute little game where he was passing the ball up until the 2 yard line and then they were running everything in. So we were not getting any touchdown points. So while he had a great game, he didn't get me what I needed. Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh,
Oof.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh,
Oof.
Jahmyr Gibbs. I thought he was going to carry me to fantasy heaven. And then I made the mistake of taking Derrick Henry over Saquon Barkley because my thinking was this is my thought process. I had looked in the weather and I was like, Buffalo's going to be a messy game. They're going to be running all day long in
Sure.
Buffalo. And sure enough, it was okay. It was pleasant enough. Josh decided I'm passing today, and he was going to throw. Also, so did Lamar to his detriment. But Josh decided he was going to pass today. I can't imagine, and we've now skipped a game. We'll go back. I can't imagine catching a ball in that weather because it must be like catching a bowling ball. And Mark Andrews, oh, oh, buddy,
Well, maybe they should have let the air out of the ball a little bit. You
maybe
know, so some Hall of Famers would say the best way to combat that is to let a little air out.
some say that. You say
Some some say that.
I have thought this year. This is completely obviously unrelated to what we're talking about. I have thought this year Tom Brady's been fine. People are very anti Tom Brady. He's fine. I mean, he's. I'm not gonna. Let me put it this way. I'm not gonna not watch a game because of Tom Brady
No,
taking some sort of stand to bring Greg Olson back. Like I'm okay. I'm watching the game. I'm
I
fine.
want him to be better. I want him to be better. I'm
He can
not
be
saying
better.
that he's not good. I'm not saying I feel like what he does is he analyzes every play. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, Tom? Some plays are just a 1 yard run and they can
Well,
just be a 1 yard run. Whereas he's like, no, see, here's what's happening. And it's like, I don't need to know. Maybe just give me a little personality and a little less analytics there.
now here's the tricky part. Who tells him that? Because I think that may be where we're
Not a
at.
person.
I think that may be where we're at with this experience.
Mhm.
It's like Tom may come in. I don't know if he's going in and he's like, how'd that go? And everyone's like, that was great. That was perfect, Tom. And he's like, okay. And then he goes home, or he's just like, I'm Tom Brady. I got this. But it's probably somewhere in the middle, right? Like no one wants to be the person to sit him down and be like, Tom, listen, let's
See, what's so funny about that? A little behind the scenes, a little
BTS.
bragging, little
Yeah.
bragging on my part here.
Mhm.
Worked with a lot of former athletes.
Yeah.
A lot of good ones, a lot of great ones, a lot
Name
of mediocre
names.
ones.
Oh.
No. And here's the thing. They all still want to be coached. They still want the film room Monday. They
Yeah.
still want you to say, hey, here's what you did well. Here's what you got to work on. Here's
Yeah.
how you do it. They all still want that.
Yeah, but I don't think there's many people telling Tom.
Well,
this is-
you have to get over. You have to be willing to coach Tom Brady.
Yeah. Here's wow.
Hey Tom,
Imagine
I'll do it. Tom, I'll do it.
they bring in
Want
Bill
to hire me, Tom?
Belichick.
I'll do it.
Bill Belichick, media coach, after a year in the media himself.
Perfect.
He's one no one was giving him tips on. You know what I mean? It's like whatever Bill gives us, Bill gives us. Like I am not sitting down
Coaches
with
don't want to
Bill.
be coached.
Yeah, no,
Coaches
not
don't
gonna
want to be
happen.
coached.
No, not gonna happen. Anyways, Rams Eagles. We got to a point. Rams seemed to have put that one away. Or sorry, Eagles seemed to put that one away. Rams got
And it
right back
wasn't.
in that one. I don't know how they managed to pull that one off. That Saquon.
That was
Again.
the best game of the weekend. Like,
Yes.
you asked before, Washington and the Lions was the most entertaining, but the best game of the weekend was the one that went down to that. Oh, maybe Buffalo.
No, because here's
Two-point conversion.
this is what I will tell you about Buffalo and and the Ravens. That game was not as exciting and fun as the Commanders and Lions game, and I don't think was as good as the Rams and Eagles. While they seem to have been playing in worse conditions in Rams Eagles, Ravens Bills was a little bit sloppy. Like it was a close game, but not a classic game, if that makes sense. Like
I would say,
I feel bad for Lamar Jackson because Lamar Jackson, aside from the turnovers,
the
but
fumble.
Lamar did what he had to do to win that game. And now that will be forgotten within a few weeks. And then next year in the playoffs, it will go back to, and there'll be, the videos and the notes of how Mark Andrews was a big loser in Winners and Losers presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. And there'll be a slight note, but history will forget that Mark Andrews had that 2-point conversion dropped, that he had that fumble, and it will just fall back on Lamar not being able to get it done. Unfortunately, because again,
It's
he did
100%
everything that he could do, and he is going to be the victim in this narrative because they did not lose because of him, but that's not how it's going to be remembered.
And here's the other thing I'll say about that game. It went down to a failed 2-point conversion because Mark Andrews forgot how to catch. And I don't think it could have lived up to the hype. I don't think anything we could have gotten in that game could have lived up to what we thought we were going to get in that game.
Yeah.
And then we came off of a really good game. I think maybe that's why I don't view it as the best game of the weekend, because I was expecting so much more than I got, and I still got really good.
This weekend was great. Yesterday's games were great. Again, the fact that we were saying Texas and Chiefs was the worst game of the weekend, that wasn't even a bad game.
No,
it was just there was 3 really good games this weekend, setting up if the season ended today, Mikey. Great matchups next week. We have the Commanders and the Eagles, which you have already told us you want the Commanders to win the Super Bowl. You're rooting for them. And then we have Chiefs and Bills, which I think this is only the second time that they're playing each other in the conference championship with Mahomes and Josh Allen, because I think they always end up running into each other around sooner. So I think this is the first time since 2020 the Bills are going to be in the AFC Championship game. And it's lining up nicely for them because, as we mentioned, results of this week's game aside, the Chiefs do seem to not be the Chiefs that we've seen, even though they looked pretty good, but that could just be that they were playing the Texans. if the Bills were to make it to the Super Bowl on somewhat of a down year on a 15-2 Chiefs team, I think this works out great for everyone because then even Patrick is like, well, now he can go home, spend time with his kids, and the pressure of the three-peat is done, and then next year's a kind of a bounce back year or whatever. But we'll see. I'm excited about that one. That one is the Sunday night game next week, I believe. So
Are you saying that if the Chiefs lose the AFC Championship game, it's a good loss? Is that a good loss?
It's a good loss for the Chiefs.
It's a good loss.
It's a good loss. If they lose,
to lose the
loss.
AFC Championship game, you're saying for the Chiefs because that's going to set them up for the next 5 years.
It's a good loss. Yeah, it's a quality loss by the Chiefs. Okay, let me say this: the Chiefs are the team. Well, the Commanders, because if the Commanders lose, they weren't supposed to be there. And by the way, people of the world. I believe if you go back, and I'm asking you not to do so, but I believe if you go back about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I said the Commanders might be frauds. So don't go back and look into that.
Don't do that.
You have no reason to go back.
I forgot that.
Weeks.
You should too.
You have no reason to go back 6 weeks and listen to old episodes of God Bless Football. All that stuff's dated. I would appreciate it if you did, but don't do that. We don't need that. But like Walmart, we're just focusing on the future with our new look here.
Past.
Exactly right. Well, no eyes on the past in this situation. Both eyes on the future. If the Commanders lose, whatever. They weren't supposed to be there. If the Eagles lose, people are going to want to fire Sirianni again. Obviously, that's what's going to happen. They're going to want to immediately fire Sirianni. If the Bills lose, you start having that conversation of. I saw a clip of Peyton Manning talking to Kevin Clark about Josh Allen, and he was saying that Josh is facing some of the same things that he would face in his career at this point in his career, where it was Peyton Manning is really good, and Josh Allen is really good, makes all these great plays, and he was saying how Josh needs to remove the but, which is kind of where this game is this is a game to get to the Super Bowl. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, he made it to the Super Bowl. And then there's like, okay, we'll be back. Whether they are or not, it doesn't matter. But the thinking will be, okay, we'll be back to the Super Bowl. This is a great step to make it to the Super Bowl. Not how we wanted the season to end, but a great step. If he loses this game, you're kind of right back in the exact same position. It's the first time again in 5 years that they've been to the AFC Championship game, but you're back in the same position of, here we go again, which is unfair to him because going into the season, no one thought that they would be anywhere near this position. They thought that this was going to be an off year for the Bills. They got rid of Stephon Diggs. What are his weapons going to be? So I think he's got to win, which is why look at the Chiefs. Good loss. Maybe good loss for the Chief. Maybe you see, even though now we're in it, now they might as well go all the way, if you're the Chiefs, because you're not, what are you getting? 2 weeks off? Like I'll play 2 more weeks. What difference does that make? And if you don't make the playoffs, you get a whole month, or you lose the first round, you get an extra week. Now you might as well 2 weeks. Anyone can do 2 weeks, right?
Sure.
Okay. There's a national championship game tonight. We haven't really talked about the Rams and the Eagles again. Well, all we've really said is Saquon, so good, and I don't know how much more needs to be said about that game. So national championship is today. We're going to talk to Golic, and we're going to talk to the head coach of Northern Illinois. I don't know what happened to me there. The only team to beat Notre Dame this year. But before we do that, Mikey, I thought it'd be fun if I gave you, because it's Monday, obviously.
Need it.
I thought it'd be fun if I gave you a little BBBBBB National Championship edition. So the first one that I'm going to do here.
Is this the first ever BBBBBB college? I can't remember you ever doing it.
I think this is the first college edition of this game. And if I'm going to be honest with you as to why it is that I'm doing it, besides the fact that it is Monday, it is because right now my record on the season is 47-29. And in my dream fantasy world, I go 3-0 and I hit 50 wins. And then I am sitting pretty. And maybe moving forward, this then becomes, for the last 2 weeks of the season, maybe this will become a Friday situation. But I'm leaning towards no, because Stugotz doesn't seem to like me doing this, and he doesn't seem to like when I win these things, because he'll just tell you how great his record has been, even though he changes the lines in every single one of the game. So this may be the last one of the season to be determined. We were talking about Ohio State and Notre Dame before, Mikey, and you were saying how you have become a Notre Dame fan. I was at instead of Buffalo, I was at a 3-year-old's birthday party yesterday, which was a surprise birthday, didn't know about, but then found out like, oh, we are going to a birthday party in 2 hours. So, and oh, can you go buy a present for said birthday party, which I had to do. So I went to this birthday party yesterday, and I was talking to, some of my brother-in-law was there. I was talking to some of the dads, and they, like you, are rooting for Notre Dame, which I thought was weird, and I think is just an age thing down here because Miami has a unique hatred for both teams.
Sure.
The older generations remember Notre Dame and the Catholics versus convicts, and they hate Notre Dame. I don't like Notre Dame because I think they're annoying, but I don't have the same passion because also I don't really care about the University of Miami. Now, Ohio State has Miami still believes that they were robbed a national championship to Jim Tressel and Ohio State. So they do not want Ohio State, even though Ohio State has won a national championship since, they do not want Ohio State to win the national championship. So down here, it's kind of interesting because of the whole University of Miami dynamic with both teams. So anyways, I am going to take the over 45.5 points.
So all that to say, you're not picking a team yet?
Well, this is what I'm going to say. I'm taking the over of 45.5 points. Why am I taking the over, you ask? Because I have done terribly this year when I take the under at anything. So I have told myself, Billy, stop taking the under. Just root for an entertaining game. So I'm going to take the over of 45.5 points. That's my first one. My second one, Jeremiah Smith, anytime touchdown.
I like that one.
I'm just doing that one for Mikey because Mikey said take Jeremiah Smith anytime touchdown last week.
I was trying to let you have it. I was trying to let you have it.
No. It's fine. It's fine. And then Fuentes said take Jeremiah Smith over everything. But I trust Mikey more than I trust Fuentes. So Jeremiah Smith, anytime touchdown. And finally, and again, we're going to have Mike Golic on here next. And I want to thank Jess and Lucy because I reached out to them to see if they wanted to join today. Both were willing, and I ended up saying, you know what, it is early on Martin Luther King Day.
Go ahead and enjoy, yeah.
Well, they're both going to the National Championship game tonight. So I said, you know what, you guys just enjoy this week. Enjoy this game. Enjoy the National Championship. We'll catch up with you later this week. So shout out to them because they were willing to come on and partake in the fun today. And again, the fun is not stopping. We're going to talk to Mike Golic coming up next, and I'm really going to try to agitate him if I'm going to be honest with you. My final pick, headed into agitating Mike Golic, Notre Dame plus 8.5. Yeah, it hurts me. It really hurts me to do it. It hurts me. It's so many points. And selfishly, I don't know if they're going to win. I want both teams to lose. But I selfishly just want a good national championship game because there have been some stinkers as of late. I just want a close one. 8.5 points is a lot of points. So anyways, coming up next, as we've teased a billion times by now, Mike Golic gets us ready for the national championship game with a special guest.
What is... Dax, are you?
Tracking all our cars on Carvana Value Tracker on all our devices? Yes, Kristen, yes, I am.
Well, I've been looking for my phone for...
In Dax's domain, we see all. So we always know what our cars are worth.
All of them?
All of them. Value surge, trucks up 3.9%.
That's a great offer.
I know. Sell?
Sell.
Track your car's value with Carvana Value Tracker today.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits, and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
So, Mike, I have a theory on the national championship I want to share with you that I'm not sure you're going to be too fond of, but I've been floating it out there.
All right.
I believe that it is best for business for you, for Notre Dame to lose the national championship this year. And I'll tell you why.
Hear him out, Mike. Hear him out on this.
Hear me
because
out.
This isn't a bad theory. He's been peddling this for a while. And to be honest with you, originally I had your reaction. I was like, come on, man. Mike wants Notre Dame to win. But there's some logic to this.
This is going to take something from you here, Billy.
Okay, well, here's the deal. Naturally, your heart wants Notre Dame to win the national championship, but your head may not, and you just don't know it until I now give you this theory of mine. I believe that once Notre Dame wins the national championship, I think some of the opportunities that you get as a distinguished Notre Dame name are going to start going to the Riley Leonards of the world. You know what I mean? They're going to say, you know what? Let's get some national champions on here. And I feel like then maybe they're going to disrespect all of what you've done for the university for all of the years, for all these Johnny-come-latelys. And I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So because I care about you, am rooting for Notre Dame to lose so that you get to still have your sterling standing within the community.
I appreciate that very much. But,
you're welcome.
I disagree.
Oh.
Hey, give the fruits to the people who won the title. If they get the accolades, they deserve it. So be it. If I have to take a step back, so be it. I still live within a block of the campus. It's not like I won't be around. And I doubt all of a sudden I'll stop being let into practice to watch. Now, if that happens, I'll raise an eyebrow. But I don't. No. I am all for giving the love to those who win it. So while I understand and I appreciate your concern for me, I still hope that they win the title.
What about the crop that isn't part of the national championship team, but like the Kyle Rudolphs, who you didn't win a national championship, but you're just newer to the Notre Dame community.
It'll be interesting how now a lot depends on how much you're around, right? You can't just show up, once a year and expect to have the red carpet laid out for you. You have to kind of be around. You have to be at games. You have to be at practice. You have to, if you're invited to talk to the team, talk to the team. So you have to stay involved with the team.
But this is my concern, Mike, is I feel like now your 6-month commitment to Notre Dame is going to have to become a year-round commitment where maybe we spend a lot more time at the South Bend estate. You know what I mean? Or maybe they say, you know what? This is nice. You're a block away from campus, but this is for winners. You're going to have to move 3 blocks away from campus now. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing. I believe that you believe that they're not going to do this to you, but I believe they're not going to stab you in the front. I think we need to keep an eye on them because it's the ones that you love the most that can hurt you the most. And I think that if we're not looking out for you, they may break your heart. And I don't want you to be heartbroken, Mike.
I appreciate your concern for me. I am personally am not worried about it. I have too much respect for Marcus Freeman that he wouldn't do that to former players because he's made such a point of bringing former players back into the fold. But it's noted. I do appreciate your concern.
Yeah. How do we feel about Father Dowd?
Is
he one that would hurt you?
No. Okay. How about Father Dowd, the new president of Notre Dame, and Pete Bavacqua, the new AD of Notre Dame? Here they are, their first year in the gig, and their team's playing for the national championship. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
Mike, is Billy trying to convince you Notre Dame should lose?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, which isn't shocking, but they are for nice reasons.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. He has the Golic family in mind. That's exactly right. Yeah.
He does. He does. So I do appreciate that. I'm not too worried. You know what? it's a good problem to have.
Right.
Well, it may not be. That's what I'm getting at. Is it seems hypothetically like a good problem to have until we have it. So I'm trying to avoid it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I have a
And
golden
I'm willing
heart for
to
the
roll the
Golden
dice.
Domers. You know what I mean?
I'm willing to roll the dice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Mike, are you worried about Marcus Freeman leaving your school?
Oh.
No, not at this point. I don't think he wants to go to the NFL just yet. He just signed the extension with Notre Dame. They're paying him good bucks. I do think he'll be around. I know his name has been attached to the Bears, but I don't think that he wants to. I'm not sure what his goal is, if he wants to coach in the NFL or not. But I don't think he wants to right now. That would be my guess.
You know, Billy, it was interesting because Mike did not come down here for the Orange Bowl, for the semifinal game. He is going to the National Championship game. But I found it interesting that, you know, we were discussing whether or not Mike Golic wanted to stay over at your house, sleep on that couch right behind you. I thought Mike was a lock for the Orange Bowl, but I think it was Billy's house that scared him away. So
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
What did happen?
It was that staying at your house, Billy, and the fact that I have PTSD about that stadium in Notre Dame. They played there for the title when my boys were on the team in 2013 in that stadium and got smoked by Bama. So I didn't feel like revisiting.
It looks very different now, Mike. You wouldn't even recognize it from that game. They have the roof on there. Like, it's a totally different vibe, but I get it. I get it. Not the house thing. I don't understand why you don't want to stay at my house, but I get the whole PTSD from the stadium. I'm going to assume it's that. It's more that.
Look at that couch. How inviting is that couch to lay on so my legs could hang over the end of it?
Oh, no, that's a sofa bed. That pulls out.
That would be great.
Yeah,
like they all have that bar in the middle of it, so I
want me to
could
open
lay
it
on
for
the
you? Hold
bar.
on.
That would be awesome.
He's going to lay down on it now. As he's laying down, I'm going to ask him a series.
That poor comfortable dog.
He cares about you so much. He has a Chris Sims jersey, Mike, but you notice he doesn't have a Mike Golic senior jersey.
No, he doesn't.
Right? Yes.
No, he doesn't.
Billy's playing like a champion today. Got to be honest. I mean.
The bar just would be right in the middle of my back. I would just get a horrible night's sleep.
We're supposed to have a special guest for Mike Golic. We're hoping that special guest appears here on God Bless Football. If he does, he does. If he doesn't, we will have to reschedule it. But since I have time and Billy's putting his bed back together, he is coming in here, Mikey A?
Yeah, they just emailed do they want to get him on now? And I said, yes, please. So
yes, please.
I'm assuming any second here.
Okay, at Golic, we will have you out of the time that you need to be out at. I promise you. But you'll. I
look forward to this guest.
Well, it's a special guest.
Well,
any guesses?
Yeah, you want to take a guess?
Listen, knowing you guys, I have no clue, zero clue.
Knowing us, you kind of have a clue. Though.
It's nice that you wore that shirt today. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
He's wearing a shirt of The Rock for everyone who's listening.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't
we have someone coming on? Listen, I think he thinks, guys, that it's Andy Reid.
Really?
Yeah, because
I think he thinks it's The Rock now.
I would have thought it would be someone associated with Notre Dame.
Yeah, well, maybe. Who knows?
Well, it might be.
Maybe.
I have a question for you, Mike Golic, that I want to get to the bottom of, because Jessica told this story on the show a couple of weeks back. So she was there for the first playoff game.
Yes.
Where you guys were hosting Indiana.
Yes.
And then she told us that there was a gathering at your house after the game where some former players were there. And she ran into Shane Gillis, who was just kind of hanging out at your house. Now, not at the house was you or your son, because you both went out of Dodge right after the game, had flights to go, and you weren't there, but still hosted a house party for a who's who of Notre Dame people.
Yeah, that was turned out, and I didn't even know that Shane Gillis was there. I had heard that he wanted to come.
Well, you weren't there. I mean,
and have a couple of beers, but Mike and I had to go work the Penn State SMU game the next morning. So we had a 1 a.m. flight that we took. And our son, my son Jake, was at the game as well. He drove us to the airport. So while we were all going to the airport, Shane Gillis, Kyle Rudolph was over the house. Braxton Cave was over the house. and they were with Shane during the game, and Shane, as they used our house as kind of a place to wait for an Uber. Shane came by and was just hanging out. And Jess Smetana, who we're talking about, she was staying at the house. We had her stay at the house for the game. She walks in and says, "There's Shane Gillis sitting there having a beer." I mean, I thought I had heard he might come over, but I knew we weren't going to be there. So yeah, we just kind of host people even if we're not there.
Not everyone is hosted. Sometimes we ask to come and we're not invited.
Yes.
Well, no, that's on purpose.
Right. Well,
I just opened my couch for you. Hey, it's our
there he is.
guest.
This is the coach of our national champion, Mike.
Wow.
Because Notre Dame is headed in. We have the head coach of Northern Illinois. He is on with us right now. The only team to have beaten Notre Dame. He is the national champion. Their team you're a bunch of national champions, Coach. And here's why, Mike, we think they're the national champions. And we're going to have Coach kind of give us the keys to beating Notre Dame, since his team is the only team that has beaten Notre Dame. But not only did they beat Notre Dame, not only did they beat Notre Dame on your field, Notre Dame paid him $1.4 million to kick your ass. So he is a true national champion. Thomas Hammock joins us right now. Coach, are you with us? You're the national champions if Notre Dame beats Ohio State.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. Hopefully I can get in less trouble, but I'm certainly excited to watch that game on Monday night.
Coach, let me tell you, I was at that game. I was very sad at that game, but I mean, as a former player who played for a number of coaches, I was extremely, when I sat down and got over the sadness of Notre Dame losing, I was so happy for your players and you as a coach. I mean, for coming into the stadium. I mean, at what were you saying to the team on the sidelines at halftime when we kept expecting Notre Dame to come back and they weren't?
Well, I think going into the week, we knew it would be a physical contest, and we built our team inside out. So, we could withstand the physicality of the game. We felt like we had a chance, and I thought, when they scored that first drive, and then obviously the next kickoff, we started at the 2-yard line. When we had a chance to score that touchdown, I think we settled into the game, and they wasn't going to overwhelm us physically. And it was just about playing clean football and giving ourselves a chance in the fourth quarter.
Do you guys think that he's really happy? Do you think Mike in the moment was Billy? No. Billy is questioning your sincerity.
No
it's
Still
just how
not.
happy you
no
are.
It'll take a win on the championship game for Mike to truly be okay. With
No. As I said, in the moment, I wasn't happy. But then, listen, it's the reality. And Northern Illinois won the game. I was happy for the players. And I know he had some injuries. He got hurt in that game. But Ontario Brown, wow. I mean, he was so big in that game. I mean, rushing and caught a couple of balls for over 100 yards. I mean, you needed a guy to stand out. And in that game anyway, he really stood out.
Yeah, he was a difference maker for us. He has been a difference maker for us in our program. And he allowed us to even the playing field with his ability to create explosive plays. So he certainly gave us a chance. And then obviously our O-line and D-line played really, really well that day. And the rest is history.
So, Coach, as the only team who has beaten Notre Dame, please give Ohio State and Ryan Day the keys to beating this Notre Dame team.
Yeah.
Well, I think, Notre Dame is obviously a great football team. The way they've been able to overcome our loss and get better each and every single week, I think speaks volume to Coach Freeman, his staff, and the players. They are very, very gritty. Defensively, they play a lot of man coverage, which – I think that's going to be an interesting matchup with Ohio State and their receivers. That's going to be the key to the game, in my opinion. Obviously, Texas played a little more too high last week. But if they stick with man coverage, can their DBs handle those receivers? I think is going to be a matchup to watch. And then obviously, Ohio State is very, very good on defense. I think the quarterback has to neutralize the pass rush. Texas quarterback couldn't run last week. Obviously, Riley Leonard can run and extend plays. So if he can have a chance to keep them in normal down and distance, I think they'll give themselves a tremendous chance to win.
So when you're game playing, and Notre Dame plays about as much man as anybody in the country, and with Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Ibuka, I mean that's going to be a difficult task. As a coach, and this is for Al Golden, the D coordinator, do you change up and say we're going to have to play more zone, or do you say, hey, we're in the national championship, we play mostly man, we're just sticking with what we do?
I think that's going to be the interesting thing for that game, right? It's hard for a team to change what they do in one particular game. I think they played, 15, 16 games already. They are who they are. I just think it comes down to if they can guard number 4, those other receivers. Even Tate played really, really well last week. So you got 3 guys that can be explosive and dynamic in the passing game. I think really that's going to be the matchup of the night.
Coach, so are you with us? Here's what I'm proposing, okay? If Notre Dame, okay, beats Ohio State, they win the national championship, okay? We think Notre Dame should have to go to Northern Illinois and play you guys.
Wow.
Do you agree with that? And do you think we can make that happen?
Hey, listen, I think that would be fantastic to bring Notre Dame to Husky Stadium. I'm sure it'll be a sold-out event. If they want to play us at Husky Stadium, I'm all about it.
Okay, would the school be willing to give back the $1.4 million to make this happen?
Ooh, double or nothing. Double or nothing.
Hey, listen, unfortunately, I think that money is already spent in the athletic department. So, although I'm sure, I don't know, they may be willing to give that money back to get Notre Dame to come to Husky Stadium.
That'd be interesting. I'd consider raising the money to make this happen.
Coach, when you guys beat Notre Dame and you go after the game and you shake hands with, Coach Freeman and you see some of the other players, you like go up to any of the Notre Dame players and say, you know what, like, we got room for you next year on this roster if you want to join a winner. Like, any of that happen?
To be honest, I was hoping they didn't come up to our players. Just from the standpoint of, obviously I'm sure the NIL budget is extremely high. And for us to beat them means we had some guys that can play at their level. And I think, I was more concerned about that. But certainly I think after we beat them, I think there was a lot of teams across the country that really started to scout our roster, which is always a tough thing in this day and age of college football.
What did you say, and what did Marcus say to you after the game in the middle of the field?
It was kind of a blur, to be honest with you. My emotions was running all over the place, but he said, hey, great game. You guys played extremely tough and physical, and he said you deserve to win. So for him to say that, first of all, his humility and who he is as a person is unbelievable. And I don't know him well. Just had a chance to meet him when we played him. But the way he carries himself, obviously, he's 39 years old, as James Franklin pointed out, which I thought was very, very interesting. But he handles himself in the most utmost way, and what a great representative for Notre Dame.
Is he as good looking in person as he is on TV? I mean,
I think the thing that's funny, and I've never told anybody this story, when we talked before the game, I was just thinking to myself, man, what type of cologne do you have on? I said, I'm sure I can't afford it, but you smell really, really good before a game. And, that's what I was thinking when I had a chance to meet him. But obviously, he's a great looking guy, and handles himself well, and I'm hoping for the best for him.
You shouldn't have a rooting interest in the national championship game, but it would be fair to assume that you'd like Notre Dame to win, correct? Just because of the fact that you would then be the only team that beat the national champion.
I imagine his kids are aware of it, right?
Well, I think I think I'm a Marcus Freeman fan. So the way he embraced me, have a lot of respect for him. He didn't have to do that. And obviously we played them, and we have been the only team that beat them. So, I think that would be a fitting in if they won the national championship, and we were the only team that beat them.
Yep. You should hang a banner, and we are willing. Listen, I am telling you right now, we will come up to Northern Illinois, and we will throw you a parade.
Hold
are
on
you interested in that? And Golic, he'll be in. He'll be in.
Wow, Golic, you will?
No, I'm not interested in that whatsoever. We were good on that particular day, and we'll always have that moment.
You will. You'll always have that memory, and that's something that'll last for you and the kids for a long time. No doubt about it.
Coach, what were you doing to James Franklin there? I mean, what happened there?
What you mean?
I mean, he made the comment about Marcus Freeman being 39 years old. James Franklin, who still hasn't won a big game against an AP top 5 team. He's won 3 more than I have in my career. What were you doing there? He took a shot at Marcus Freeman, his age. Like, James Franklin shouldn't be taking shots at anyone. That's what I said.
I'm definitely not trying to get in trouble today. I thought it was an interesting dialogue back and forth because obviously your age doesn't mean anything in the coaching profession. Is what you do, your body of work, and what Coach Freeman has done over the last 3 years or so speaks volumes about what he is and what he's about, and that's the only thing that should matter.
All right.
Agreed.
Well, Coach, thank you for doing this. It was fun. If you don't mind, this show will declare you as national champions if Notre Dame wins, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, we're going.
You're our
big matchup between you and Michigan this week.
No, I maintain beating a team that you shouldn't beat on their home field and collecting $1.4 million to do so is actually better than winning a national championship.
Coach, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to deal with this.
I hope you guys edit this really well and make me look good. The last time I said something, they edited it out and it said, it was the best dump of my career. So I'm sure.
What was the second best dump of your career?
Oh God! Stop it, Coach. Just go, Coach. Go. I appreciate you stopping in. Leave before it gets too crazy.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Coach. We appreciate you doing this and having some fun with us. Thank you.
What a day! In all honesty, what a day for them that had to be. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It was an awful day for me.
What a day Monday will be if you guys could take care of Ohio State, huh?
Yeah. We'll be not many people giving Notre Dame a chance, that's for sure. But hey, we're in the game, and I think it'll be a hell of a game.
Yep. Mike, we'll let you go here in just a second. Just back to Marcus Freeman, NFL. He'd be crazy. He is Mike, if you win a national championship at Notre Dame, it will never get better and bigger than that for him. He'll never be more relevant than he is right now.
It comes down to what your goals are. If you want to coach at the highest level, that's the NFL. If that's a goal of Marcus Freeman's and eventually he gets the chance to, he may take it because that's a goal. It's just like a player. Sure. A player would like to play in the NFL. That's the goal, and to hope to make it. So if that's a coach's goal and they get the opportunity and he takes it, I would be bummed he left Notre Dame, but I would be happy that he got to achieve a goal.
All right, I'm torn now, man. I'm with Billy on if Notre Dame wins, it's bad for the Golic family, and I desperately want to annoy Northern Illinois.
I'll risk it again.
Championship.
I'll risk it being bad for the Golic family. Believe me.
Wow.
But suddenly Kyle Rudolph is walking down Radio Row, and he's doing the beef jerky diabetes thing. I mean,
that's okay. I've had a good run.
Thank you for doing this, Mike. We appreciate it.
All right, you got it, guys.
God bless football. I know.
God bless football.
Yeah, sure thing.
Hey, you sold that car yet?
Yeah, sold it to Carvana.
Oh, I thought you were selling to that guy.
The guy who wanted to pay me in foreign currency, no interest, over 36 months? Yeah, no. Carvana gave me an offer in minutes, picked it up, and paid me on the spot. It was so convenient.
Just like that.
Yeah.
No hassle.
None.
That is super convenient.
Sell your car to Carvana and swap hassle for convenience. Pickup fees may apply.